If you've been around in the UK in the last little while, you may have seen an advert. It was an image of a ballet dancer tying up her shoes. The text read, "Fatima's next job could be in cyber," and then in brackets, "she just doesn't know it yet." Below there was a tag which said, "Reskill, Rethink, Reboot." I've seen a load of comments and memes and different posts on Instagram about people's responses to it, which basically make the UK government not look so smart. One article in the UK newspaper, The Independent, said this, and I quote, "But they've got it all wrong. It's not up to Fatima to retrain, although if she did, she'd do a better job at running a testing and tracing system than our government. No, it's up to politicians to rethink their attitude to the arts, reskill in their policy making and communications, and reboot their relationship with the creative sector. They're on the wrong side of history here, they just don't know it yet." And then it says this, "Particularly grim is the unthinking use of an image of a woman of colour, given the extra structural barriers many from the BAME community have to overcome. Is it really necessary to implicitly tell young dancers that someone who looks like Fatima isn't valued? The unfortunate subtext here is, you must not entertain aspirations above your station." Don't worry, this vlog is not going to be a political rant, but personally I've been quite peeved by the attitude that the government had taken when it comes to the arts sector, and for a while now I've been wondering if I should say something about it or not, but I think it's time to speak up. I'm aware I'm on one tiny corner of the internet and I don't have a huge amount of influence, but what I do know is that there are many other artists and musicians and actors and dancers, people who have slaved away for years to train and become the very best that they are, who are really struggling in these times, and I want to speak up for some people who maybe don't feel like they've got a voice at all. And while I don't have a large platform, I think it's right enough for me to respond and say something about this subject which I am quite passionate about. Of course, we know this, the arts really do matter. What did we do when we were in lockdown here in the UK? We watched loads of programs, we listened to music, we read books. We probably used the arts at a higher level than what we would normally do in ordinary life. So clearly the arts are of value in our lives. And I hope, even if you're watching this and you're not directly involved in the arts, I hope that this vlog will inspire you to take some sort of action to support those who are in this sector. I'm going to reflect on some common attitudes that I've personally faced in this sector, but there's one overarching theme above everything else that I feel comes up time and time again. If you're watching this and it's your first time here, why don't you head over and hit the subscribe button. I create content every single week on my YouTube channel and I would love you to be part of our community. So what is this one common phrase that I see over and over again in my experience as an artist? I think it can be summed up in 4 key words. Get a real job. Seriously, I've experienced this so many times in the last 3.5 years, where people may not say it absolutely directly like that, although some have, but there is this kind of implied undertone that what you're doing as a creative does not have nearly as much value as other sectors in life. So I'm going to break down this phrase and look at why people may think this and what can be done about it. Firstly, I think this is a misinformed statement. It kind of speaks that artists and creatives are lazy and that all they do every day is sit around and, in my case, play guitar, which cannot be further from the truth. In some cases, people do create all day when they're producers or songwriter producers or session musicians, and their job is to write and create music. Do you know what? It's incredibly hard to be able to write good songs. Note the word good there. If you're musical, you can write a song. To write, for example, a really strong and what seems like a simple pop song is incredibly difficult, and it can take a long time to even write one single song, with several people often contributing to that. Those who produce music are often on low budget, stuck in a dark room where they're working incredibly long antisocial hours and having to create under pressure a lot of the time. The skill involved for the session musician who has to concentrate so hard to be able to record that perfect take is incredible. People train and spend hours, years to be the very best they can be in these sectors. So to think that artists and creatives are lazy is really sad. I'm sure there are some that may be lazy, but like in every job, there are those who try to cut corners and make life more comfortable for themselves in the workplace. Let's get back to my experience of being a full-time creative, because that's where I can really speak from. You know, there are times where I hardly ever pick up a guitar because I am running effectively a small business. Starting and running your own business is hard enough and requires a huge amount of sacrifice, but to do it in the creative sector, I think that's way harder. Not only does it require creating new material all the time, you have to stay on top of your brand, your marketing, your own practice, creating new merch, touring, management, handling the legal side of music, trying to get your music into new places, growing a fan base, starting, funding, creating new projects, managing technical problems, and of course even staying on top of your own practice, which I find really hard to do. Those of you who have taken the leap to become a full-time or even doing it part-time as an artist, I raise a glass to you. I have a huge amount of respect for you. It takes so much work to be able to deliver and to stay consistent, and I applaud you. Secondly, I think the education system, particularly here in the UK, is stacked against the creative arts. Of course, it's important for us all to learn in school the core subjects like maths and English, and sciences are put very high as well. I really do appreciate and understand why that is the case. Then you have humanities, and even physical education, PE, it's all way higher than what I tend to find, certainly in my school experience, was art, design and music. Sadly, there are so many generations that have gone through the school system, and because of the school system we are not encouraged to be able to pursue a more creative avenue of working. And while things may well have changed in school in the last 10 or so years, I still feel that the system is geared towards a certain type of person. So it's no wonder that people give up on the dream of actually pursuing the thing they're good at. Thirdly, and I want to say this with respect, I also think it's generational. Not too long ago, the internet was still very new. Social media was not really a thing, and many jobs that exist now just weren't a reality or even conceivable back then. And I'm not talking like 30 years ago. I'm talking even 10 years ago. The thought that someone can earn a living from being an influencer on Instagram, or to earn a comfortable living as a YouTuber or a gamer, just wasn't a reality. I think things changed a lot in 2008 when we had the crash here, and loads of people started to have to run their own businesses or try and retrain in a different area. I think it actually opened up a whole new opportunity of people pursuing maybe their passion for the first time in the workplace, and seeing what could be achieved even if they weren't earning the same level of money that they would have done before then. We're also noticing in this climate that jobs that we thought were going to be long-term, forever kind of jobs that people could do until we die and the next generation comes and it's the same thing all over again. Now some of those jobs and positions are obsolete. You look at when crowdfunding came in and how suddenly a product that just wasn't possible to manufacture could be manufactured with the help of people sourcing it. Suddenly you didn't have to have a business loan from a bank. You could actually have a grant from the people. Then from crowdfunding came along platforms like Patreon, where you can have monthly subscriptions to a service, whatever that service is. I find this inspiring and hugely encouraging for artists and creatives in our generation, and it gives me hope that the Fatimas of our world can pursue the dream and call on their life. I use this phrase, chasing an oversized dream, because really the dream that I've got for what I want to see happen in my life is way too big for me to be able to achieve on my own. But with new technology and with new opportunities, I'm beginning to see the possibilities. And finally, I think one of the problems that we face as creatives is the need for everything to be free. You know, if you're well known and you've got a brand and a following, people expect to pay good money to hear you, to watch you, to read your books. But if you're starting out and you're very much independent in what you do, people expect you to give stuff away for free. But sadly, that's the moment when you really could do with people supporting what you do from a financial perspective. For me, in the music world, free is normal now. You give away your music for free. You have it up on streaming platforms which just do not pay at the level that you need. While I'm appreciative of the opportunity and the exposure and the discovery that you can get on places like Spotify, it still doesn't quite marry up when you're an independent. I tend to find it really hard to ask people for money for crowdfunding projects or for Patreon, but then a friend of mine spoke to me about this and gave me a different perspective. His perspective was, because you give your music away for free, because it's available readily to the people, you can ask people for something back in return. And that changed my perspective as an artist of whether I can actually ask people to support a project or not. Now, of course, you have to be careful and you have to go about it in the right way and you have to plan it really well and actually have something of value to give back to people. But this has helped me, and I hope it will help somebody else out there if you are in a similar position. I'm sorry this has been a bit of a rant, but it is something I'm passionate about and I wanted to speak up about it today. Before I finish, I want to speak of 4 brief ways that you can help people in the arts, and perhaps there's someone in your world that you know you can help right now. Number 1, take time to read, listen, watch, their content. By doing this, you add value to them and you become an early adopter in their community, and they will be so thankful for it. Number 2, respond in some sort of dialogue with them. That could be commenting on their social media posts or even asking them how best to support them and share their work. They will be so glad that you spent the time to send them a small message, and if their art has spoken to you in some way, by sharing that, it's incredibly encouraging to help keep creating. Thirdly, introduce their art to a friend. Here's an idea. If it's your friend's birthday or Christmas is coming up and you want to buy them a present, rather than getting something generic from a larger store, why don't you back someone's project that they're trying to bring to life? I remember before Christmas one year, a lady got in touch with me and asked if she could buy 10 CDs from me and asked if she could have a discounted rate. Of course I said yes, because she was buying 10 of my albums. It's only happened to me once when someone's bulk ordered like that, and it has made me remember them. And finally, number 4, become a patron of their work. Whatever that looks like for you, bringing some monetary value to what that person does really does help them in the long term. You may feel like a tenner a month or a $5 a month, does that really make any difference to someone? Yes, it does. Because if enough people do that and become their supporters and patrons, it can change their life and make the things that were simply impossible possible. And of course there are platforms like Patreon, but you might even want to just get in touch with them and say, can I set up a direct debit and pay you £5 a month into your account? All these small things make a massive difference. And having a few cheerleaders like that can really help. I know not everybody can do that, and that's absolutely fine, but these 4 areas can really help you help artists to keep creating. So if you're watching this and you're a creative like me, well done. I applaud you. Keep going. Don't give up. It's not the end. Let's keep believing in one another and keep bringing out the best in each other's lives. I hope this vlog somehow inspires you. I'm sorry if it's a bit of a rant, but it was something that I hope was good for me to get off my chest and hopefully inspire you in some way as well. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to this channel, and you can also check me out on Patreon as well. The link is below. I think I've said enough about it in this episode for you to be convinced that it's a great thing to get involved with. Thanks so much for watching. I look forward to sharing more content with you soon.